Everybody, welcome back. This is episode 2 of the heDONizm podcast. Just in case you didn't know, I catch my first two. I go by the name of Dante, also known as DJ Mecca Don, the Don Mecca. Some may call me Don, some may even call me Tay. And you may also know me as Rick James. Why? Because I'm cold-blooded. Listen, guys, we're in the age of cancel culture, judged by the court of public opinion. So I will be careful with my words, but just in case I drop a noun, just in case I drop a pronoun, an adjective, or even an expletive, listen, don't hold me to it. I'm really simply here just to pod, right? So let me just start off with a little gratitude, right? I like starting my openers with a little gratitude, just as a humanity check, just a humanity check, if you will. I'm very grateful that we're back to some sense of normalcy where we can actually see ourselves as well as those that are up and coming with multiple things, including our communities, to thrive and grow. In that aspect, we may see them grow in forms of sports, recreation, parks and recreation, and even the thing that I love the best for a little hobby is live entertainment, a little patio dining, and also some concerts here and there. But just on a little sour note, as I was preparing myself for some live entertainment on Saturdays, I went out to my patio and I was chilling, right? So I'm just saying this as a heads up. And I don't know if these guys are getting ready for the fall/winter, but I was out on my deck chillaxing, and then all of a sudden I looked around and I saw some wasp, and they were just kind of swarming, right? I think they were really just planning on getting themselves together for the next season and whatnot. And then all of a sudden I went to go clean up, and I went to go clean up one of the areas that I typically, don't hang out in. And I pulled up in that area, and then what do you know? They were hanging out in there. So I moved some of the candles, and voila, buzz, sting, and they got me. So I'm like, right. Haven't been stung since I was a child, but here we are with the buzz, sting. Wasp, I didn't do nothing to y'all, but you know what it was? It was a reminder of the alignment of what was going on. And just in case you didn't know what was going on in the city of Atlanta, Beyonce TL took over the city for a 3-day event right at the MSB, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And some of the consumers and businesses around town saying this has been more hype than the Super Bowl, which was here, which brought revenue and money to the city. So shout out to Beyonce TL and all the participants and all of those who came for the Renaissance tour. But let me just tell you, the Saturday show, first of all, it was originally scheduled for a 7 p.m. curtain call, and got a notification from Ticketmaster saying that 7 p will be moved to 8 p, right? So with that being said, I don't know if it was strategy towards crowd control. I'm not sure if there was a Braves game or if they needed more time to break down from Friday's show coming over to Saturday's show. Again, not sure, but let me just say that had the production team or whoever's in control of saying, hey, this is the call, finalized, boom, don't know who makes that call, but if the concert started at 7, it would have been better for everyone. But being that they moved it from 7 to 8, let me just tell you, the bottom fell out. I mean, it was raining cats and dogs, right? It was raining man. It was raining woman. It was raining Pride Plus. And let me just tell you, it was also raining glitter, ankle, shin, knee, and thigh-high boots, along with glitter hats and accessories. Now, when I tell you the Beehive was in formation, they was getting information, but it was a beautiful thing to see, just to see people out enjoying the things that they love. And let me just say this, shout out to the Jimmy Buffett fans out there. You know, when you get that Hawaiian shirt or you get that lei, Jimmy Buffett is in town somewhere, right? And if you get those skulls and those dead heads out there, you know that the Grateful Dead is performing somewhere in your vicinity. And let me just say, all things with love, the Swifties, they would show up in a storm. So those of you that know, but I showed up in rare form. I've seen Beyonce a couple of times, and one was it was the On the Run 1 and 2 with Hove. But this one was all Beyonce. And I thought to myself, without DC, without Destiny's Child, will Beyonce be able to capture and grab my attention like she did with Destiny's Child, and without the On the Run 1 and 2, with the stories and the backlines and the love story that her and Hove has together. But let me just tell you this, the woman knocked my socks off. She's incredible. And from what I understand, Beyonce has a lot to do with the actual production, with the actual sequencing of the scenes versus the music to video, music to lighting. From what I understand, Beyonce, Queen Bee, has a say-so in all things production. So let me just stop, pause, and just say tip my hat to her. And in addition to that, I just want to tip my hat to the Beehive. You guys came out in full animated style, and I just saw so much love in the air. And they have one more show, which is the Sunday show. And so I bid everyone safety in spite of the inclement weather. And for those who are traveling from traveling mercies to you guys. But the concert was amazing. So if it's coming to your town, if you have not picked up tickets anywhere, please try to find you a good sale and a good buy. But I did all of that. I put the ball on a tee so I can kick it in this fashion. I want to talk about something that, as I was entering the area, and also an experience that happened to me. I'm just curious, guys. Are we in a day and time, right, where chivalry is something that we should throw away? Is it a thing of the past? Is it something we continue? Is this something that I can download to youth or knowledge transfer with some of our youth when it comes to chivalry? Right? As much as I would like to think chivalry is a verb, based on the English dictionary, it's an uncountable noun. So is it just ideology based on one's action towards a man to woman? Or is this just something that we deemed to be done as a gesture of kindness? Are we too deep into gender equality where it's an incident for men to hold the door open for women anymore? Or am I considered too creepy, right? As I'm heading out the door and maybe I got the slow bop and a woman, regardless of her age, right? Or creed, right? I hustle up, or I kind of jog up to her and just say, hey, ma'am, can I help you with this 65-inch television or these 4 packs of 40 case of water? Am I the creep for that, or should I just chalk it up to being shucky ducky? I mean, leave it alone. I referenced the Carly situation where she made it bad for men like me to even go, this person needs help on the side of the road. Is it real? Is it Capolonia? I don't know. It's something for you guys to think about. Or how about this, right? Me as a man, right? I see a same gender couple, that being the appearance of 2 ladies per se, right? And I go and I hustle and I open the door for one of them, but yet one of them is feeling kind of tight, like I'm trying to scoop up, or I'm trying to run game, or something of that effect. And I'm tight, and I'm getting that tight look by one of them going, hey, who do you think you are, Mr. Big Stuff? You're never gonna get my love. Well, wait, whoa, wait a minute, Gene. And I'm just giving a little form of chivalry. And if I was off the mark on that, I'm just trying to give examples of is chivalry dead? So let me just pause right here and say, if you're on YouTube, Twitter, or whatever the socials are for heDONizm, wherever you are right now, comment down in the section and just let me know. Keep it going, kill it. It's a thing of the past. We need to revisit it. I don't know, but I want to hear from you guys. Is chivalry dead, or is this something that we may need to consider throwing in a recycle bin? Let me also pause right here and give a pod editorial note from my last episode when I was referring to friends, right? When I was talking about kids going back to school, and I was referencing some of the kids were looking forward to getting back to school so they can be with their friends. And I was saying all the soliloquy of those in your classroom or classmate, those on your team or teammates, yada, yada. Let me just clarify that it is up to the individual to build that rapport with that classmate, teammate, colleague, and what have you, to define what it is for those two to have an understanding of, and also play an intricate dual role in what it is to become friends. So there is something to be built there, but I do know that some individuals consider those in their environments to be their friends when in fact they're put in situations like cheating on a test, having a brotherhood or a sisterhood within a classmate, when in fact they really don't have intentions of being your friends. They're just there in the atmosphere. So I just want to throw a little pod editorial note out there saying, and I listened to, I watch game film, right? There was one thing that I wish I could have clarified, and that was the takeaway from your classmate, teammate, colleague, and coworkers is on the individual to build that rapport, to gravitate to a level of what it is to be friends. So hopefully I didn't lose you guys on that. Hey, listen, from a historical standpoint, we're coming up on the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington, right? On August 28, 1963, over 250,000 of individuals arrived to the nation's capital to protest injustice and discrimination. There were many different civil rights leaders that spoke there, but one of the most notable was the I Have the Dream speech by, yes, yours truly, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And to this day, that speech still holds weight and makes us all reevaluate how we deal, how we carry ourselves with others, and also do those words still hold truth to this day, or have we gotten so into ourselves where we modified what exactly the dream is, right? Martin Luther King, a drum major of change. He was a philosopher. But you guys know me, I talk about those derivatives all the time. How would Dr. Martin Luther King stand in today's time with where hip hop is and where we're going? So I can tell you one voice in hip hop who's very strong, intellectual, and chest pounding with knowledge that reigns supreme over nearly everyone, and that being KRS-ONE. Let me just go to one of the songs, My Philosophy, back in 1988, from the Boogie Down Productions, Mr. Chris, KRS-ONE. And the lyrics goes, let us begin, what, where, why, or when will all be explained like instructions to the game. See, I'm not insane. In fact, I'm kind of rational when I be asking, who's more dramatical, this one or that one, the white one or the black one? Pick a punk and I'll jump up to attack one. KRS-ONE is just the guy to lead a crew right up to your face and dish you, right? Prophetic words. I say that all the time when it comes to some of our lyricists and some of our poets and prophets in the form of hip hop. But if I can just grab your attention just for a minute, I want to give some tyology. And in this aspect, I want to issue a trigger warning because we've had conversations about this already, right? So I don't need to go into a deep dive of the specificity of what I'm about to talk about. Yep, you guys have been inboxing me. You've been calling me. Some of you have been texting me. And you're like, hey, yo, Don, you got to speak on the Montgomery Brawl. Some people are looking for entertainment. And let me just say this right now for the cheap seats. I'm not one to do a bunch of cloudy, chasey type things, right? Like I'm not one to get on social media and turn a flip all off the table, prank my family members for the sake of likes and views. My algorithm on a physical aspect runs just a little bit different. I like organic growth. If it's 1 or 100, I value and I appreciate those. That's why I go so hard. Because if it's a little number and that little number rocks with me, I give my all to that number. And maybe if I can impact one, I've done my job. So in this aspect, I'm not looking for cloud chasing. I'm not trying to be like everyone else when it comes down to how I report things I see. Sometimes I'm like, can I be a part of the solution or the problem? But let me just issue a trigger warning before I go into some of the things here, because, haters do exist. There are a lot of those that have plans to hurt, harm, and endanger others. I know this space of how social media work, so I'm issuing a trigger warning, right? But there's too much documentary, there's too much commentary, and also color commentary out to describe this situation. But I had to talk about this simply because you guys asked. Thanks, I'm rocking with y'all. Please believe it. But there's so many undertones There's so many undertones about this Montgomery Brawl at the riverfront. Yes, there was an altercation. Yes, there were arrests. But what brought on the rise for so many POVs, so many point of views, right? You guys hear me talk all the time about the court of public opinion, where here we are. And I guess I fit into that box, pardon me, where I become the court of public opinion. Montgomery, Alabama, guys, was one of the pivotal roles in the transatlantic slave trade. So it triggered a lot of people to associate both black folks, white folks, indifferences, biases, aggressions, microaggressions towards our eyeball tests. And shame on you, social media in general, because social media doesn't tell the entire narrative. But there's been jokes. Some are funny. I ain't gonna hold you. There's been serious nature, but it's about those undertones that really got my attention. A little bit about Don, right? So my genealogy traces back to what you would call, in the case of my ancestors, if we had to hold it to criminal cases, a cold case, which sometimes gets shut down because there's no evidence to track or to continue on from the research that was given. So shout out to the matriarch and matriarchs that are no longer here of my family, that being the spouse of one that I love dearly. And if you're listening, God bless you, thank you, and we appreciate your contributions to our family. Did research, hard, sleepless nights, put a lot of miles on a vehicle, got on the phone with a lot of court record individuals, actually took some physical field trips to actually trace down the history of my ancestors. Fortunate, we got information. Unfortunately, we could only trace it so far. And some of those routes and branches of a tree, as you guys heard me speak about in the past, we only went so far. And it was a head scratcher because I was dying to hear that great story of my ancestors over in the motherland, but I didn't get that. Some of my family history went to Alabama, and where most of us may have just saw the brawl as a public disgusting display of where some people hasn't changed their mindset, and the entitlement, the privilege, and how dare you, but the audacity to try to use violence as a way to posture against individuals, let alone the biases towards the race of that individual, because that's what a lot of us saw. Not going to get into detail about what you already know, but there was a man not trying, doing his job. You know, they say there's no real reason, or at least this is the mindset of the military. There's really not a real reason to decorate a service member for doing his job. But we will acknowledge, recognize, and award those that go above and beyond the COD, the call of duty. This man wasn't trying. He didn't have to read a book. And what so often happens in distress situations, hold right here, stay right here. I don't have an answer for you. Head scratcher, let me get my manager. Nah, I'll say it again for the cheap seats. This man was not trying. He was on the clock. Yeah, I never judge a book by its cover, but it looks like, or it looked like, or at least the eyeball test told me that this man pretty much enjoys his job, right? And from the look of things, from the dialogue on tape, right, there was a lot of things we couldn't hear. But it looked like he was being finessed, manipulated, challenged, tricked, threatened. Couple of slurs here and there, you think? We didn't get it on tape, or did we? Or did someone? I don't know. But let's just take for the sake of narrative. By the looks of body language, and I'm no expert at BL, body language interpretation, but this man was given the business by some folks. And then out of nowhere, pow, pow, some hands and knee went above the torso. Way out of line. Okay, so let's talk street for a minute, right? Fellas, let's talk street for a minute. Square up with me if we have a problem. If you choose me, I want a fair one. No weapons, nobody else. I'm maintaining my cool, my decorum, and my dignity, but if you come in my space and you choose me, you give me no choice but to take the 5 fingers and put them to the face. Shout out to Dave Chappelle. What did the 5 fingers say to the face? But you leave me no choice. Oh, but here comes the crew. Is that a fair one? Now, let me just pause here. Quick. No. Put a pin in that. Was that a fair one? I think the answer is big no. Right? So what happened to melee? By the entire family. Brand Nubians. Punks jump up to get beat down. Was this man a punk? Did he do anything to you? Last time I checked, Nip, this man was doing his job, not trying. Right? But oh, here comes the cavalry. Dun, 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 dun. Here they come. Here they come, yo. Here they come. This or that, this or that, this or that. If you know, you know. They came with it, right? Some deemed them as the cavalry, but you also saw how the 2023 NFAC-ish crew pulled up to support a man in need. Quite impressive. What do we typically do? I just referenced chivalry. Is it something we need to kill, revisit, or is this something we need to just put in the past? I think chivalry to some degree, although the specificity records that of a man to a woman. But I think chivalry could also be if you see someone in need, help. This man was getting in hand. He was on the ground. He was on the ground. Matter of fact, he was on his side or his back. That's a disadvantage. And I used the term early for a fair one. I don't think that was in play. And some of you go, well, Dante, either way, it's violence. I'll say it again for the cheap seats. Or better yet, how about I reference some new hip hop? It's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when I do it. So your ability to come at me may look subtle, but my retaliation may be a wrath from hell. And not only that, if I'm witnessing someone in need that's on their back, thinking about all the things that has triggered me for what my eyeballs are seeing, may be a problem. So the cavalry came. Some called them that. Man jumped in the water. They called him Black Aquaman. The man with the chair, known as Chair Berry, a la Chuck Berry. Question for y'all. Honest answers only. Comment down below if you got the courage to. Did you feel any remorse when that man picked up that chair and started swinging it? But here's also where I reference something that I don't think a lot of people understand when it comes down to results for the unjust. Or as it was alleged, a riot. It was a riot. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. A riot is the language of the unheard. And society has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice and humanity. End quote. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, aka drum major for change, a change agent, a coach for humanity, a man that walked the walk, talked the talk, caught many beatdowns without him advocating violence. So during the commentary, we got a lady on a cell phone. It was color, it was comical, but it was commentary. Let me ask y'all this. Did she say what you were thinking? Some said this lady was crazy, but guess what? I love when people take accountability. Let me tell you something. There's nothing more attractive than someone that can take accountability. This lady got on the air and said, well, I threw a few back. I may have been feeling myself a little bit, but you know what she did? And I think they call it civic duty now with the cell phones. She picked up a phone and she started recording. Guys, had there been no footage, more than likely we would have a different narrative, don't you think? Via persuasive speaking, explaining, and God forbid there's a Karen in the house. Lord have mercy. But persuasive narrative. Let's try this on for size, guys. You ready? And action. This man assaulted me, and I had no choice but to defend me and my family. We were just here having a great time. We wanted to come out for a boat, and all of a sudden, this man tried to tell me what to do. He was cursing me out, and then all of a sudden, I said, sir, I'm not having it, and he hit me, and I had no choice but to stand my ground. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Lord of mercy. Did I just say that? I mean, stand your ground phrase is almost like saying it's Friday the 13th or it's October 31st. Trick or treat. Trick or treat. Trick or treat. Stand your ground. There are some states that are deemed in this nation that the stand your ground law applies to. Let's go in alphabetical order and I'll run them all down. You ready? Alabama. Let's stop right there. Most of your southern states have the stand your ground law. Montgomery, Alabama is the deep south. Geography and some mentality of the deep south is triggering of itself. I got family members that are up north, right? Guess what? They thought that down south was a place because their parents, grandparents used to say, well, we got relatives down south, we're going down south. They thought that it was an actual location, like a pinpoint that you would put in Waze or Siri. Hey, Siri, take me to down south. So we're still educating ourselves on what it is to be in the South. To this day, we still have to go back and explain some of the disgusting habitual behaviors and patterns of Jim Crow. Segregation. Right? And everyone hasn't been privy to that. Let me just pause right here and just say, for the sake of note, some of you that stick your nose up in the air and deem those that are from the South to have no experience, to be deprived, illiterate, slow, and dumb. I'm serving notice on that right now. That is a big, fat, reverse engineered lie towards the perception of that. You will find some of your most intelligent, great, and highly favored people are from the South. Now, this is not to get into any antis or any wars or anything, but I don't think an individual can help where they are born. So for those of you out there who still have the North and South, East and West mentality, cut it out. As a matter of fact, you have major cities like Atlanta that are melting pots. And they have people not only from all over the nation, but all over the world. Great places to live. And let me just pause here because I'm going to issue a challenge for my Northerners and my Southerners. This week, Northerners, here's your assignment. I would like for you to speak to 3 people a day. 3 people. Hello, hi, how are you? Good morning. Hello. Let me know how that works out. Southerners, I want you to walk past 15 people and don't speak to them. Let me know how that works out. We naturally do what we feel comfortable in doing. If your heart desires for you to greet someone, greet them. Single men, single ladies, single people. Sometimes it starts with hello. All right. And for those that like to speak to everybody, don't be surprised if everyone doesn't return the level of love or the level of kindness or chivalry that you may be offering to them. It's just an assignment. You guys are not the lab rats. I just want to know how it goes because I know the mentality of both sides. Keep me right along. But this brawl was one that has grabbed the attention in media waves, television, socials, different places where this has struck up conversations, sidebars, but yet these are the things that we endure as Americans in big cities, metropolitan cities, but also, yeah, you got it, Jason Aldean, even in small towns. Listen, when you got, I'm talking about the song. Try this in a small town. Now, let me just say this. I am a music lover. I love all genres, especially if it's a hit, if it's a bop. Now, when I say it's a hit, I don't mean if it hit billboards. I'm talking about if it's one that makes your knee, or you can slap your knee and get your bop on, or if you can tap your foot, or if you can get a head bob, or if it causes a groove or something inside that causes me to want to move or gravitate towards this song, that's a hit to me. It's called something that can be defined by anyone. One quotable is, music is the universal language. I think I speak music pretty good, pretty fluid, right? But Jason Aldean, was this the message behind the song that you had with dope strings, melodic chords, rhythm, and song delivery? Was this the intent? When you sat down, went pen to paper, or your writers went pen to paper, or your writers group said, this is that one, and Jason, you said, I co-sign, or I feel confident in what I'm writing, that this can transpire, inspire, and also do something. Now, I will say this. As a music lover, you should be able to write and say what you want to say. But it's also one thing to advocate to others that is going down. And I don't know what your overall intent was for this song, but I would love to sit down and talk to you about it because I got questions. Now, I'm not one to run to the streets and go blah, 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 blah. You got people online doing reactions, blah, 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 blah. You got people talking at water coolers, blah, 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 blah. But who has the actual courage to sit down and talk and say, hey, yo, Jason, talk to your boy, old Rick James. What did this mean? Is this a metaphor for something else? Your visual to lyrics to song display to me don't match. I think that's the beauty of music. You can feel it, hear it, but you can also see it, right? But these three didn't add up. That's just to me. Not being critical. I'm just a music lover, right? And I said earlier, we're in the court of public opinion, y'all. Don't hold me to it. I'm just here to pod. Jason, I ain't got nothing against you. But I don't understand the intent and delivery. And is this sending ultra signals out to satellite of a group of individuals who may think one way versus everybody who interprets things one way? God gave us all uniquely one thing, and that's this thing, a fingerprint. None of ours are the same. So we're both going to have different interpretations of what we take with our ears. But how about I just go to one thing, Jason, Mr. Aldean? The first verse, it actually speaks to what happened at the dock. Sucker punched somebody on the sidewalk, carjacked an old lady at the red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool? Well, act the fool if you like. Sucker punch someone on the sidewalk. What's more dramatical, this one or that one? KRS-ONE asked us that. So, Jason Aldean, so you're a philosopher? Or are you just here for the entertainment's sake? I think as role models, there comes a point where you can speak to masses through your music. Was this that intent? I don't think so. I don't know for sure. But at the same time, I don't want to be a sucker, sucked in just by anything. I'm one to take a stand rather than fall for anything. So I want to be aware when I go to that football game, Friday Night Lights, or I pull up in that stadium and I'm here rooting for my team and I see the guys come out with American flag and the theme song that they're running out on the field is try that in a small town. I may feel away. So you put the song out, but the responsibility there, does it stop there? Or does the responsibility stop with what people do with the song? So like I said, I mean, I would love to just sit down with the gentleman and just have a conversation. No heat. I don't want no sauce. I just want to have a conversation. Right? Do you know what the old Boy Scouts say, right? When there's smoke, there's what? Not accusatory, right? So let me get off the messy boots, right? I just want to have a conversation. I want more information. And sometimes hearing it directly from the source helps the narrative. So Jason, I'll ask again, are you a philosopher? But I won't just stop with Jason, right? I'll ask the question again. But this time I'll ask for Adam Calhoun and Tom McDonald. Hey guys, are you philosophers? What's more dramatical, this one or that one? I'll wait. The song is called American Flags. American Flags. Yeah, well, American Flag dropped about 2 weeks ago. And again, I said it's different aspects. You can almost use the five senses and tell what the song is about. What do I hear? What do I see? What do I feel? What's the look, see, feel of this record, right? And from after talking to a few people, right, you got to be able to understand and have those that are not like you. I keep hearing the quote, I love to be around people that are like-minded. I don't. Where's the growth in being around people who think just like you? Or how long will that sustainability get you to a place of elevation if everybody's thinking like you? That's why some of you get comfortable with yes people. But my question to Adam and Tom, Mr. Calhoun and Mr. McDonald is, are you guys philosophers? In this song, it just screams out, I love America. And guess what? I love my country. I ain't gonna hold you. I could talk all day about my background, but again, this is not the time nor the space for that. I'm just here to pod. But those that know, I love my country. I think the record says for itself. My body of work, my paperwork. America, America. Sing it, Ray. But I do love my country. There's no denying that. But when I saw this video, I'm ready. Yes. Oh, look at him. Yes, American flag, right hand. Yes, American flag. Pole, left hand, right hand, chest, honor. You're doing it. Boom. I see the fatigues, the army tanks. You look like you're over in the Middle East. Yes, let's get it. What are we talking about? Boom, and go. And I start to slow down on the bop a little bit. I went from being supportive as a listener to analytical as I start to hear content. And when you hear the song, right, it's pumping and you hear patriotic pride and it's thumping. And if you're like me and got love for this country, then you're ready to rock out. Oh, but like I said earlier, you got metaphors, similes, double entendres, and encrypted messages sometimes that needs a little decrypting or decoding. And these are some other individuals that I would love to just sit down with and talk to. But my head bob went too slow. And let me just go to the lyrical content for 1 second about American flags. I ain't never gonna pretend that I give a damn. Anybody who's offended, come get it. We throw hands. Anybody not trying to make America great again, you a pawn, you a clown. Better know where I stand. I'm a white boy with the middle finger in the air, dog. We don't give a what. 100 white boys gonna hold me down anywhere, dog. We think that you suck. Yeah. Those lyrics, the song was pumping, the beat was ramping at a dope BPM. Got the American flag, got the tanks, got the fatigues on with the boots, got no shirt on, flexing a gun show. And then I ain't never gonna pretend that I give a damn. Anybody who's offended, come get it. We throw hands. Anybody not trying to make America great again, you a pawn, you a clown. Better know where I stand. I'm a white boy with the middle fingers in the air, dog. We don't give a what. Hundreds white boys gonna hold me down anywhere, dog. We think you suck. All right, couple of questions. Okay, what genre of music is this? Because the core elements of hip hop puts this into a category, right? There's some music, let me just say right now, I know the comments, please. And put them down. I don't want no sauce, but again, the smoke, bring it. Put it in the comments. Some of you may disagree. I want to know how you feel. I'm okay on accountability. If I got to take a L in something, I'll eat that sandwich, right? But I'm just curious as to what category of hip hop does this fit in, right? We talk about the core elements. There's some trash out there. But how much of the trash out there is glorifying the country we living in, standing on something, saying that we back this thing up that's supposed to represent all of us? One nation under who? You sure about that? Under God. So the reason I asked what genre does this fit in, because back in the day when I was anymore, I messed up the lyrics, but y'all got the bop, right? Back in the day, if there was an MC, a group, a B-boy out there, right, and you wanted to hold your spot in hip-hop, you came with the originality, and you mastered your craft. And if you was whack, you took that L. And when it came to battling, and don't get it twisted, I'm not talking about fighting, you got your ass kicked. And you went back to the drawing board and you said, I'm going to be more innovative and I'm coming with it next time. But you didn't give up. You came back to the ring and you was ready to get at it. But if you came back and you didn't master your craft, but you tried to take something from the person you battled, that was called biting. So I'm asking, in what category of hip hop does this fall in? Because to me, it seems much like an often imitated biting style. Now, when I heard this track, I was like, oh, could this have been a track that the two of you teamed up with Killer Mike and made something called American Flags? I'm just imagining how dope that would have been had you guys sat down, because Killer Mike would have told you straight up in the studio, hey, man, hold up. What are we talking about here? But from what I understand, and again, I'll say for me, for my reference, I'm not the clout chasey person, the chatty patty that goes out for likes and do dodo stuff for likes. I don't know if this fits into that category or not. From what I understand, from the style of music that these gentlemen display, it's always habitual line stepping, wokeness, stepping on wokeness, but yet re-advocating wokeness again. So this is another term that fits in a category of biting, and I'm just asking. Another question that I have is, who's your marketing team? Sometimes we use this American flag thing as capitalism, and it's quite patronizing. What's the origin of your rap style? Where'd you get your cadence? These metaphors and these double entendres, are you real enough, as we say in the world of hip hop, to get on the mic and speak outside of that about what you really meant? Say it with your chest. And the terminology of this record. But you know what this record gives me? And this is my critical bag here. This gives me, they cloned young black teenagers. And for those of you who never heard of young black teenagers, Google young black teenagers hip hop group. Young black teenagers. Google it right now. Pause the pod and go Google young black teenagers. Tell me what you get. I'll wait. Young black teenagers. And it also gives me House of Pain. Right? And obviously these guys are talented. But I'm just like, who are you coming for? And is this your avenue? Is this your free mic to come at America? Because the beginning of the songs, it says we're under attack. And I'm like, from who? Last time I checked, recruiting is down. And there are still servicemen and women needed. And the U.S. Armed Forces have lowered the standard for those entering the armed service regarding criteria, not intelligence. I'm just trying to understand who's under attack. There was another part of the song that got my attention. And the lyrics went, I'm never going to take a knee for the anthem. Smack 'em. I don't give a damn. I can't stand 'em. Again, I'm never going to take a knee for the anthem. Smack 'em. I don't give a damn. Can't stand 'em. Are we referencing 7? Shout out to Quentin Patton. Used to play with the 49ers. Number 11. They used to call him 7-11 because he was always open. A little family. A little extended family of mine. But are we referring to number 7, Cap? We're talking about the man that took a knee in form of protest. Nonviolent protest. Non-threatening protest. Non-militia protest. But he took a knee in the form of protest. And as a matter of fact, let's just reference one more thing for Cap that a lot of you may not know, since I'm on the subject. During the national anthem, the individuals that took the pictures, the individuals that were filming, were on a knee. I digress. But are we talking about 7, the man that decided to take a knee in silent protest against police brutality towards a certain demo? Rather than pulling out an AR, a handgun, a Glock, or anything that can kill and destroy, this man took a knee. But in your lyrics, Mr. McDonald, Mr. Calhoun, are you guys willing to sit down with number 7 face to face and have a conversation about why he did that? Rather than to write it in a lyrical form and turn so many of your fans against the logic behind that? Are we losing the value of what this actually meant? The man's already out of a job. for what he was destined to do. And that was become a Hall of Famer, multi-Super Bowl champion, a competitor, continue to influence those in his community by way of the team that he played for, yada, yada. I can go on enough. Or is that not man enough? You just want to go to war, right? You just want to go to war. Put on your fatigues. Let's get at it. Right? Valor. Hey, let's get it. Is that the pride in America? So again, a lot is going on. But who's the more dramatical? This one or that one? And ask yourself, as you come up with your own ideologies, your own concepts, are you a philosopher? Do you think very deeply? Hey, I'm just here to pod. Guys, again, we're in the age of cancel culture, judged by the court of public opinion. And I'll be careful with my words, but just in case, I may have dropped a noun, pronoun, adjective, or expletive that was out of place or unwarranted. Don't hold me to it. I'm just here to pod. And let me leave you guys with this, because it was at the end of the record. Fresh for 88, you suckers. Until we meet again, guys. Peace. 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 Until we meet again, guys. Peace.